Hi guys, welcome to episode 39 of Traveling to Vietnam Without Flying. I'm staying in the aptly named Hotel London, or should I say London, and I'm looking for Prince Andrew in the portrait, but he's not there. The breakfast is amazing, to be fair, and I'm really digging this cottage cheese with jam. It's like a cheesecake on bread for breakfast. Have a little walk around the city and think, oh, it's Tirana Castle, go check that out. Oh wait, it's literally just a wall. And I'm informed the entire area has been turned into a plaza with lots of restaurants, and it's clearly owned by the Toptani family, who own the department store opposite as well. No comment on their mafia status. Completely irrelevant segue here, but the data in Albania is awful. It says 4G, but it's really just 3G, which reminds me of my previous hotel I was staying in, which claimed it was 4 stars, but when you went inside, it was only 3. Over-promise and under-deliver. It suits my TikTok very well, actually. I visit the Pyramid of Tirana, which was built during communism in honour of Enver Hoxha. This is what it used to look like, but they're doing a lot of building work now to turn it into like a community centre or something. I don't know. Anyway, relevant segue here. Talking of pyramids, in the late 90s, a number of massive pyramid schemes all collapsed in themselves and destroyed the Albanian economy. Obviously, a handful of people became very, very, very rich, and there wasn't a Bernie Madoff to take all the heat. I've been told a few people were jailed, but not the big dogs. I head over to the National Museum and disaster hit. My phone runs out of battery and my portable charger's on the blink, but luckily I've been saved from Clady, my friend from the football, who sent me some pictures. Albanian history is fascinating, and I'm especially fascinated by their language. There is no other language in the Albanian language family. There's still a lot of debate about where it came from as well. I think the prevailing opinion is that it kind of came out from one of the Illyrian tribes who were in this area before the Romans. Just to note, so they are technically in the Indo-European family with us, but yeah, they have no cousins. I don't know the terminology. You get my point. So this used to be the residence of communist leader Enver Hoxha. In fact, this entire district of Bloku used to be completely cordoned off in the communist era. It was kind of a party district for the party elites and the foreign ambassadors and stuff. Anyway, a few people have bought me beers, and yeah, obviously thank you very much, and I have promised that I would buy some local beers. So this one was a creamy dark one, and this was a big wheat beer brewed by Albanian monks. I've gone out with the group from yesterday, and I want to watch the Chelsea-Dortmund game, but they're a bit busy with Mr. Bean at the moment. Also, there was just an advertisement for selling followers in the pub smoking area. At €2 for 1,000 followers. I realised that my viewership at the moment is worth €16. It makes a mockery of the emotional toil I've done to get this many followers. It was mad as well. Once the football is over, every single TV in Tirana turned to Big Brother. Apparently it's massive over here. Anyway, it's my last night in Tirana, and I'm getting a bus tomorrow, but there's no real bus station. It's just like a collection of private companies. It's all very weird. I'll tell you guys tomorrow. I'll see you later. Hi guys, welcome to episode 40 of Traveling to Vietnam Without Flying. This morning I'm in Tirana, Albania. Just thinking like, yeah, the series is good, but I don't have a recurring leitmotif for my character. So I might steal this one from Barry Lyndon. And I also feel like I need a nemesis who's also travelling to Vietnam without flying. And we regularly bump into each other and have like riffs. It's International Women's Day, so a lot of the guys have been bought flowers. If anyone does want to be my nemesis, please send me a DM. So today I am going to Ohrid in Macedonia, or North Macedonia now. How it's called. They had a dispute with Greece about their name. I think the Greeks felt like the Macedonian Slavic people were trying to steal their history. This is my incredibly efficient journey so far. So yeah, we're on a minibus, and as we're driving, it stinks of diesel. Oh god, it's gonna be a long day. As we make our way out of the ramshackle international bus area, I'll just expand earlier about the Macedonia thing. So the historical region of Macedonia has traditionally been part of Greece. It is obviously most famous for being the birthplace of Alexander the Great. Whereas the South Slavic group of Macedonians only really entered the area around the 6th century, I think. Then basically when Yugoslavia broke up, the Macedonians wanted to be called Macedonia, but Greece objected as there was already a Macedonia within their country. And I also feel like maybe they were a bit pissed off that these guys were trying to steal the cultural heritage of the region of Macedonia for themselves. Anyway, they both agreed for the name to change to North Macedonia, which I think suits everyone. There is no relief from the diesel fumes on this minibus. I'm going to Ohrid because firstly a few of you have commented and I'm unoriginal, but also it's a UNESCO cultural heritage site and a natural heritage site, so it's one of only 28 places on earth where there's kind of both natural beauty and the cultural history. So, but more than that tomorrow. Both the Albanians and the Macedonians decide that it's not worth stamping my passport, and I've also realised this is one of those countries where O2 do not give you any data and charge you an exorbitant amount to use anything on your phone, which makes things a lot more fun, to be honest. See, here it is again. The apartment I'm staying in is so cheap. I paid something like 20 quid for 2 nights for an entire place to myself. I arrived quite late, so I went out just to get some supplies and also to convert my Albanian lek to Macedonian dinar. I then watched the Champions League, had a couple of pints, but not worth filming. Big day tomorrow, so yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Hi guys, welcome to episode 41 of Traveling to Vietnam Without Flying. I am in Ohrid, North Macedonia today. So this lake here is a UNESCO Natural Heritage Site, but Ohrid itself is a UNESCO Cultural Heritage Site. It's like, Jesus, save some heritage for the rest of us, lads. I've heard that his nickname is the Balkan Jerusalem, and they used to have 365 churches, one for every day of the year here. I don't think that meant that they went to a different one every day. Imagining poor Logos who went to St. Sophia's instead of St. John's. Fucking embarrassing, mate. I didn't film it because, you know, kids, but there's so many Spanish children here. All I can hear is yeah. Has anyone ever been to Oxford City Centre? They're basically just in my way, but I do escape to St. John's and I have a nice spot of lunch overlooking the church. I bought this ham from the supermarket and Jesus Christ, it is not for the faint-hearted. It's the saltiest, smokiest ham I've ever had in my life. I mean, obviously it's delicious, it just tastes like a cigar. I overheard a tour guide said that the church is actually built in a cruciform. I walk on and there must be about at least 5 minutes of blue skies and sun. Whenever I see paths like this, I always think about Wizard of Oz. Is that weird? Also, can someone tell me if they've ever seen Return to Oz? It's like no one I've ever spoken to has ever seen it. I feel like everyone's collectively lost their minds that this film ever existed.
Yellow brick. No, Belina, you don't understand. This was the yellow brick road. What's happened to you?
Come here.
I genuinely still have nightmares about the Wheelers, and people look at me as if I've made this film up. Anyway, I walk up to Samuel's Fortress, which is on top of the old city park. Apparently the first ever fortification built on this hill was by Philip II of Macedon, who was Alexander the Great's father. But it's basically been added to and rebuilt over the Byzantine, Slav and Ottoman periods. I'm adding it to my collection of impregnable fortresses that I've seen on this trip so far. I walk back down and this fella's pulling out all the tricks for a little bit of my ham. Judging by his tail, he enjoyed it. Does anyone else think this looks like the Sex Castle meme thing? A lovely view of the old Greek theatre in town. This actually originally dates from 200 BC, which predates the Roman influence in the area. I made a point of not paying €3 to go into St. Sophia's, but I mean, these guys look like they were enjoying themselves. Apparently the theatre was located in such a perfect position because it blocked all of the sounds from the water, which meant the acoustics were amazing. I'm suddenly playing games of chicken with gulls. I turned around and there's just an orgy of feeding frenzy. And I was being followed by this cat, so I thought I'd give him a bit of ham. Someone told me, oh, you shouldn't do that. Sue me. Sue me. I don't care. It's just one of those days where I just don't want to stop walking. So I keep going and I find a football stadium. This is the ground of FK Ohrid or something. I think they're in the second division. There's no game on, unfortunately. I have got my eyes on a couple of derbies at the start of next month. More on that later. I walk past an abandoned hotel and I go out for dinner. Trying to save a bit of money, so I opt for firstly a delicious salad where they grated the feta. Sorry, it's dropped my mic. Grated the feta, and I had beans with bread. I have a plan for securing a bag, but this time I'm not going to do it as a bit and shoot myself in the foot. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hi guys, welcome to episode 42 of Traveling to Vietnam Without Flying. Still in Ohrid, North Macedonia. I asked my landlord for some directions to the Bay of Bones, which I want to visit today. After a bit of trial and error, I find it. I think when you're travelling by yourself, you have to have quite a thick skin, because locals will think you're fucking stupid, and they're so right for that. I'm travelling about 12 miles down Lake Ohrid to the Bay of Bones. The driver almost drove past it. I had to get him to stop on the side of the road. It's a recreation of a Bronze Age settlement which used to be on the water here. But first, I don't think there's anyone here. I know I'm out of season, but I can just hear faint shouting behind this door. As a former archaeologist myself, this stuff obviously fascinates me. I think it's much more cultured to live on top of the lake than in it. I'm thinking of this Roman report into the Britons. There was a report on this area from the famous Greek historian Herodotus. The lake was so plentiful that each house on the settlement had its own trap door, and they could simply lower a basket into the water, wait 30 seconds and then pull it up, and each basket would be completely full of fish, not plastic. There were definitely places on here where I think the Bronze Age settlement would have been sturdier. So this is obviously just a recreation of a small chunk of this settlement. The original Bronze Age settlement covered 8,500 square meters. And it's astounding to think how big this place would have been. It's just, I can't imagine how this place wouldn't have stunk. I think the museum and the archaeologists named this place Bay of Bones to be a little bit dramatic, but it is actually quite accurate, as they found lots of animal remains on the lake bed, and it's not some kind of nefarious Pirates of the Caribbean cove. So I've got like an hour or two until the bus comes back, and that's my destination, Peshtani. I'm trying to be a smart ass, and I think I see a way down, which is a shortcut, instead of having to go all the way back to the car park. Clamber down the mossy rocks, and then I realise, it's just a dead end. You cannot get through. All the way back up to the road, and I've got to follow the road to get to Peshtani, to get to the bus stop. I'm also in desperate need of lunch because I haven't eaten anything yet. I really am a terrible traveller. I have what I hope was a guardian as I walk the road, and I come across this Orthodox shrine. I am firmly out of Catholic Europe now. Also, stupid segue, when I hit 10,000 followers, I'm going to do a celebratory video, which will likely involve tequila, trying not to start any beef with the stray dogs. God, I hope there's no bears around here. I wasn't sure what to make of it, but a couple of times, a car looked like it was about to stop and give me a lift, but then drove on, I think, once they realised I was a man. So it's like, if it was a solo girl, they should get a lift, or they had like bad intentions, I don't know. Or the increased chance that I'm a psychopath. Anyway, nearly finished Dubliners now, so I go to the Irish pub, bit of grub, few drinks. I have a cigarette with the guy outside, and he recommends that I go to the Jazz Inn. Find out later that he actually works behind the bar there. Don't know if he's on commission, but it was a great shout. I braved the elements, and I did have a few doubts, but once I was inside, I had a fun time. See you later. Hi guys, welcome to episode 43 of Traveling to Vietnam Without Flying. I get a pizza burek for breakfast, and I'm like, this is so good. But it was like, you know when you get a sausage, bean and cheese melt from Greg's, and it's like the tomatoey bit inside the pastry? Delicious. But I'm not gonna lie, I think the phyllo pastry makes this better. So I'm going from Lake Ohrid to Bitola, North Macedonia today. I get the impression that my destinations are getting stupider and stupider by the day, but I love it. This was mental. There was like water trapped in the window. I've never seen anything like it. I really am travelling through the heartlands of North Macedonia now. And the scenery is nice, but every place where a car could stop, there was fly tipping. And that was just a massive landfill that they decided to put on top of a hill. Anyway, as I'm making this, I'm reminded of this comment on one of my videos a few weeks ago. I don't know. Woken up to this on my Twitter this morning. Safe to say I think he's back on the benzos. Sorry, I did not know those stickers were going to do that. I really do apologise, but I can't be asked to change it. Right, so Bitola. What am I doing here again? So apparently during the Ottoman period, this city was known as the City of Consuls. A lot of foreign governments had their consuls there. Anyway, that's enough history. Do I hear football noise? I do. I go to the stadium, but unfortunately it's like 10 minutes left and they wouldn't let me in. I feel like if I had a modicum of foresight or planning, I could have actually gone to the game and got an early pass. But that is not the mega trip way. Sorry viewers. First impressions of Bitola are really good. They have this Sirok Sokak, which runs straight through the centre of the city. And I know it's obviously a Saturday, so it's cheating, but the city feels alive, like everyone's out and socialising, and I like that in the city. And yeah, I am going to mention it's pedestrianised. There are loads of stray dogs here, and they're all fucking cute to be fair. It's just not necessarily an aesthetic I'm used to. The city of Bitola is actually the oldest in North Macedonia. The first evidence of settlement here actually goes back to 6000 BC, but I'll tell you more on that tomorrow. I go out along the Sikola for a drink and some food, and legend has it that this guy still has his arm out for the handshake with the dog. The city is rammed, to be fair, and like I said, it feels very alive. There's just a lot of children, so I escaped to the jazz bar. I can safely say that Skolsko Pivo Smooth tastes like piss. It definitely rivals the Croatian Ojushko for worst lager I've had in the Balkans. I'm enjoying myself though. Obviously the classic broken English chats with locals about football. And go inside and they're playing beautiful day, so it's like I'm about to sit down and watch some Football League highlights. No offence to the dinar, but it's the most inefficient currency for getting a drink. I go outside on the balcony to have a ciggy, and there is the most obnoxious American man. I documented his follies on my Instagram story. Feel free to add me on there if you want even stupider content straight from my brain. Links in the bio, along with the link to give me money. Give me money. I'm just kidding. Big day tomorrow. Actually seeing some sights for once. I'll see you guys later. Hi guys, welcome to episode 44. We're traveling to Vietnam without flying. It's fucking relentless, this, isn't it? This morning I'm in Bitola, North Macedonia for my second day. There was a zoo with 2 miserable lions there, but I refuse to give my money to places like that. Shouldn't fund this kind of treatment of animals. Getting the old ticker going today, climbing up to the top of the hill. A local at the bar a couple of nights ago had said, "Why are you in Bitola? There's nothing to see." So I thought I'd climb to the top of the hill for a better view of nothing. I'd filmed it, and I remember I've actually know a local now. I was very disappointed when I got the translation. Essentially, I think this whole hill used to be a military base. I personally think abandoned buildings in the Balkans is too easy. It's cheating for getting my aesthetics up in these videos. Oh, don't worry, there's even more at the end. Yet again thinking, are there bears here? And also I should really know the emergency number for North Macedonia and have data and minutes. Walk down a different way because it's supposed to be a really nice waterfall. And this is the thing with this country, it's fucking stunning. The steep rolling valleys, that guy's tending to his flowers, the lovely haptic sound of the waterfall is very therapeutic for my ears. But to me there's always a catch with North Macedonia. It's like there's always an asterisk at the end of everything I say about this country. In this case, it's just the abundance of plastic pollution, which is right next to the water, including like nappies and toilet paper. It was really disgusting. So I know that's probably a little bit unfair because I really am loving my time here. I found all the people so friendly. Obviously the drinks are cheap, but also there's a very sociable vibe in the city. Anyway, I walk back down. My brother in Christ, what do you want? I am simply walking down the road. Actually, seeing this made me very upset because this donkey was just chained to a tree by itself without any mate. I don't know how you could put such a sociable creature by itself like that. It's really sad to see. Yes, another Roman theatre. and ruins is the ancient city of Heraclea. And right next to the culturally symbolic ancient city of Heraclea was obviously a dogging spot. There were countless Johnny rappers here, and I kind of respect it, to be honest. Like, I've never had sex amongst Roman ruins. I haven't lived. Actually, I've finally just done some research. It was actually founded by Philip II of Macedon. You can tell that it was closed because it was a Sunday, because I haven't done my research. But yeah, it was Greek and then Roman. But that theatre you just saw was actually built by Hadrian, of wall fame. And they said there was nothing to see in Bitola. Oh shit, is that an abandoned building in the Balkans? I go on in and the graffiti is an assault on my senses. Kinda wish this folk music was playing in my head while I was visiting. Dodging a few needles and broken glass, I found out afterwards it was actually just an abandoned restaurant. It wasn't anything cool. My personal favourite is, Chelsea's Smile and You're 14, You'll Get Over It. Then things suddenly became a bit more sad because this dog had obviously gone here as a quiet place to pass away. Ridiculous transition, but I walk up the hill because there's something cool at the top. It's this guy on his dirt bike and these Soviet-era fighter jets. I have no idea why they're here or how they got here, but they're very cool. Okay, can I just say I did not notice the Heil Hitler on the plane until now. I just wanted to show the electronics without any race hate. It is a gorgeous view up here of the city, to be fair. Then a quick video to send to my nan. Thank you to everyone who's bought me a beer. Zlatan Dab for the United game. I ended up staying for quite a while and they've had some good bops, including this one by Orbital. Halcyon on and on and on and on. Enjoy. Hi guys, welcome to episode 45 of traveling to Vietnam without flying. I am still in Bitola, North Macedonia this morning, but today I'm saying goodbye and blagadarum to North Macedonia. I am heading into Greece. So like you can see on the map, that might look like a short distance, but there's no public transport links between these two places. So instead, I am getting a taxi to the Macedonian part of the border for 500 dinars, which is about 6 or 7 quid. I actually ended up giving him a bit more, like basically gave him the rest of my dinar because he was really sound. I get a nervous excitement when I'm heading through a border by myself on foot, because it's like, you know you're going to get looks and you know you're going to get judged, but it's all part of the fun, I suppose. I had to do a double take because they were just fucking peacocks at the border. I thought they were statues, but I get through all fine. And it's screensaver core today. Obviously a few more questions at the Greek part of the border as I'm heading back into the EU. But yeah, apart from some funny looks, I get through alright. First thing I do is call my mum actually, because I've finally got data again, which is nice. And then it was always my plan to walk. It's just over 10 miles and I'm feeling sprightly. And it's a glorious sunny day. I know there was a few comments saying, have you even had a sunny day? Yes. At least 5. Although as I'm walking, I'm obviously learning all of the phrases I'll need to know. Signomi, den miliao elenika. Sorry, I don't speak Greek, mate. Mythos parakolo, efkaristo. The only issue I have today is there's a few youths on mopeds keep driving past and laughing at me. Jokes on them when they see my step count at the end of the day. Apart from that, there is nobody here. Like, literally no cars have passed. I was thinking, I can hitchhike there, but I have literally had no cars pass me on my side of the road. I am properly in rural Greece, and it seems like there's only farmers who live in this area. I do sure see the darndest of things sometimes. So the motto for the town of Florina is where Greece begins. But so far I haven't noticed any difference. Also, Australian flag and Greek flag flying outside this gap. I just know it's fucking annoying. Do people who fly to Vietnam get to do this? It's quite draining being right all the time. I'm not gonna lie, I never understood horse girlies, but now I've seen tiny horses, my opinion's completely changed. Oh fuck, why am I saying this now? Found out afterwards that this entire region is known for just having loads of bears, but there's also loads of stray dogs. I was feeding them Haribo and I'm sorry, it's all I had to offer. But I thought I'd need them on my side in this hypothetical man versus bear fight. Sorry, this shot was always going to come out fucking goofy, but I just thought I'd give you an impression of what I was doing today. Actually, I'm telling a lie, this is just how fast I walk normally when I'm listening to this track. Finally made it. Would not recommend doing this. Oh god, why is my leitmotif playing? Does that mean I'm back on my bullshit? Oh god, is that an Irish pub? And is this some guys bought you 33 beers? Huge shout out to Alexis. And Pasha, I could not find that anywhere, sorry. Right, so beer number 1, beer number 2, beer number 3. I befriend, or I'm befriended by a group of master students here in the town, and I'm invited to an afters. I was told there was a snake in that tank, but unfortunately he was hiding. Everyone's really friendly to me despite them complaining about the British Museum not returning their national artefacts. But anyway, I end up getting really pissed. And I kind of venture back at about 4 or 5 a.m. Thank God, check-out's at 12. Catch you later. Hi guys, welcome to episode 46 of Traveling to Vietnam Without Flying. As you all saw, it was a heavy one last night, but I'm up, showered and checked out by 12, but feeling grim. Bought my bus ticket to Thessaloniki today. I originally came to Florina so I could get onto the rail network, but I soon discovered the entire country is still reeling from a train crash. So rail is suspended. I have a few hours to kill, so I grabbed some lunch. I was taking the piss out of the group yesterday, saying how I prefer Turkish food with their seasoning. And once I finished my lunch, I take it all back, it was fucking delicious, and for $3.50 I thought my eyes were deceiving me. I gave them €6 as I refused to give them only $3.50 for a plate of food and a can of Coke. With creeping fatigue, I walk over to the coach for my journey to Thessaloniki. I make it to the back row, and to be honest, I spent most of the journey asleep. I have now realised that the last week or so I've been actually following the Via Ignatia, which was an old Roman road connecting Durrës to Constantinople. So Ohrid, Bitola and Florina all had Roman cities, which I've seen the ruins of, but only one had a dogging spot. I'm really addicted to Greek coffee. It's like a filter coffee, but somehow it comes out different. It's delicious. It's getting on a bit by the time I make it to my apartment. Really hope this sign in Greek is not saying do not use this lift. Anyway, to be honest, I went straight to sleep on Twitter. But don't get your knickers in a twist, it's a double header today. Also, for every banger Megatrip video, there's always an equal and opposite stinker. It's just Megatrip physics. So I've hit 10k and I'm just setting my creator rates for any sponsors out there. Don't worry, I know I promised a special video, but I didn't expect it to happen this quickly. Give me a little bit of time. Much needed day of admin. Washed all my clothes and trimmed his hair down. I'll have one final job before I go out for dinner and some drinks. I'm almost out of my antidepressants and I've got a prescription, but I'm not sure how it's going to work getting it from a pharmacy. At the first place, she's like, oh, you'll need a Greek doctor's note, so I can't give you it. So I just went somewhere else and they gave it to me, without any questions asked. Being back in the EU, things are obviously a little bit more expensive, so I'm walking over to the Dim Gunari, which is apparently where students go for a cheap meal. Much like Trieste and a lot of other places I visited, there's just loads of historical ruins in amongst the city, which is crazy. Grab a souvlaki and this slice of pizza. Hot take, I sometimes prefer pizza like that. The kebab shop or Bossman pizza, which you normally order at about 2 a.m. because it's the only place open. But it just hits different, where they put like chicken tikka slices on it and it always comes with garlic and herb. Just finishing off Dubliners. And does anyone follow Göreme on Twitter? Seeing that penny farthing just reminds him of this video he posted a couple of days ago. And at first your immediate reaction is obviously to bully, but I do think it's some of the best posting I've ever seen. Like the stupid fucking angles of the camera, and look at the state of it. Hilarious. Gotta stop getting distracted. Finally finished Dubliners and the last 10 pages were devastating. I think I just need to sit here for a little bit and just think. Ooh, been invited to a karaoke party. Bad omens, the place is called Wonderwall. Come on, where is he? My nemesis with the acoustic guitar. I had fun though, only a few drinks and still a bit tired. I'll catch you guys later. Get ready with me. Solo Traveller Edition. I always stay hydrated. Do not forget to re-energise. I've always said tidy bed, tidy... Welcome to episode 47 of Traveling to Vietnam Without Flying. That little pizza for catches €2. I head straight to MoMA's, the Museum of Photography here in Thessaloniki, Greece. I thought it's been a while since I've done anything cultural or artistic. And to anyone watching a bootleg version of this video on Instagram Reels, I hope you're having a nice summer. I also noticed I've got quite a large number of new followers. I just want to say, I don't respect you as much as the guys who've been here since the start. They had to watch some absolutely shocking content. Like just stuff that had nothing to do with what I even did that day. Rambling, irrelevant anecdotes that led nowhere. Usually triggered by a meaningless thoughts. Anyway, there are huge protests and strikes today, so a lot of the city centre is shut down, and there's also armoured police buses everywhere. I feel like I should be on its way to Shawshank, but it also just reminds me of Children of Men, when they're entering the refugee camp. What a film, by the way. One of those films that has always stuck with me. Although it does always remind me of this tweet from a couple of years ago. I braved the traffic and my next stop is the Archaeological Museum here. Half the exhibits were closed because of the strikes, but they had a genuinely interesting one on gold in ancient Macedonia, including the knockoff pieces that the lower classes would have worn, and accounts of ancient mines in the depths of Africa. Pictured here, these goods were almost always found in burial sites of the elites. And the thing with Greece is they requisition one new road and they're digging up thousands of years of history. A lot of these collections have been found in the last 50 years, even by amateurs. Head of what? Oh, and Atlas, mate. Yeah, I know how you feel. I have a very niche following on TikTok. They also had a cool exhibition on the origins of modern humans. And our love for trade, even that's obsidian and beads. Right, quick walk up to the Chain Tower, which is an old Ottoman fortress at the top of the city. Also, I had a few comments roasting my boots, but I won't hear of it, I won't have any more of it actually. There's still obviously loads of cats, which I'm adoring. I still have no idea how this guy got under there without like at least a 5-meter drop. I was kind of jealous, I felt like a little bitch just looking at the fortress like a tourist. The secret ingredient there really is crime. And I personally think that the 4x4 mini larders are so sick. I head back to my accommodation and grab some food and then head out as it is St. Paddy's Day. It seems that Irish pubs on the continent attract a bit of a headbanging crowd. Guys with their fingers apart going, ah! Was fun though. I'll see yous later. Hi guys, welcome to episode 48 of Traveling to Vietnam Without Flying. I am still in Thessaloniki, Greece, but I'm currently on my way to the airport. Like I know this entire series is about me using buses and trains, but it's not necessarily for environmental reasons. It was really just for the slow travel aspect. So to be honest, I don't see why I shouldn't go to the airport and rent a car for a few days. You know, the trains still aren't running because of the crash, and you know, a car means I can go to a lot more places. Are these places on the way to Vietnam? No, they're not. So I'd honestly scroll on now if that's what you're interested in. But for example, where I'm going today, the area around Mount Olympus, yeah, I need a car, man. You can't even imagine how excited I am to have AUX. Although these days it's just a USB, but I still call it AUX to the day I die. And don't worry, you missed nothing on day 1. But day 2, I'm up bright and early, 11 AM, because I'm in a bit of a rut at the moment. But say no more, I'm on the road, and I've got a lot of things planned. Driving in Greece is interesting. Like, firstly, I'm on the wrong side of the car, wrong side of the road, and there's stray dogs everywhere. It is fun though. Right, so this is like the corniest thing ever, but like this hill looks like downhill. Apparently, if I pour water, it should go uphill. Right, so that doesn't work. Maybe I'll pour a little bit more. I feel like I'm just making a puddle at this point. I don't know if I'm supposed to have like way more water, but I just don't have much left. Oh, unless I apologise to the people of Greece. I've basically just made a mess. I did manage to finish pissing before this guy came. So today I'm heading up into the mountains. Not to climb Mount Olympus, because apparently it takes 6 hours in summer. Maybe it's my egoism of being an Englishman, but I did genuinely think I'd just be able to walk on up like Snowden. So a few weeks ago I got this comment joking about how, just wait for my ego attack era before calling me uncontroversial. But I'm afraid I got this message and now it's happening, I'm afraid. I mean, not the sex tourism bit, the ego attack. I'm amazed I even let you mere mortals watch my content. Here I am on my rightful place, my pantheon, on the Mount Olympus with the gods. When I leave the car park and start walking, I feel at home. This is my mount, my dune. Shockingly, I couldn't make it to the top. But it was a lovely little walk and I did get to see the waterfall, so. Apparently this is drinking water, but I didn't want to test it out. I drive back down and I find a hostel in the middle of nowhere by the beach, which is for some reason open. They had this huge, fearsome guard dog there, but luckily it was all good and I've got some big plans coming. See ya! Welcome to episode 49 of Traveling to Vietnam Without Flying. In case you've missed it, I know what TikTok's like. I've hired a car and I'm cruising around Greece. At the hostel I roomed with Brody, an Australian videographer, and we've decided to team up for today. We found out about Ropoto, high up in the mountains of central Greece, which had a huge landslide about 10 years ago. After reading some seemingly hyperbolic headlines, I couldn't help but decide to visit and find out for myself what's really going on. As we're driving through this town, we stop for coffee and just see this arched bridge with hordes of tourists and a couple of Jehovah's Witnesses. But actually, once you've climbed it to the top, you are rewarded with an obscenely beautiful view. After a lot of winding roads up to the top of this mountain, we arrive at Ropoto, and that's where the landslide originated, and it essentially enveloped the centre of the town and took away most of the houses, but not this church. And I promise you, it's even more tilted than the videos show in person. But essentially, although the church is still completely together, kudos to the architects, did travel 200 yards down the hill before the earth luckily grounded to a halt. The stone slabs here almost worked as a brake. You can see the build-up of Earth and how powerful this slide was. I'll tell you what though, it makes you feel a bit queasy. It's almost like a Dali or an Escher. The brain just cannot compute with what the eyes are seeing, and the disruption of reality feels so surreal. I did say to Brody that if one of the local cats got inside, I wonder if they would also feel nauseous, or if it is just a human thing because we're so familiarised with how our buildings should look like. Unfortunately, the church is completely locked up. However, we did get into one of the nearby houses, and I'm just thinking about the person who gave this place 3 stars on Google Maps. One of the most uniquely surreal places on Earth. Yeah, 3 stars.
Was anyone hurt?
No, it's going easy.
We got chatting to a local because, yes, people still live here. It's not a ghost town, Daily Mail. Oh, and fortunately no one died because there was a lot of flooding before, so they evacuated the area, luckily. Next up today is Thermopylae. The name should ring a bell, but I'll let you stew on it for a bit first. This is why having a car is great. Like, we're just driving through this random tiny town. It's a fucking jet. But anyway, we stopped for lunch because I am starving at this point, and this meal was like less than 20 euros for the 2 of us, and my god, it was so good. Anyway, this is the monument to Leonidas at Thermopylae, and this was the site of the battle between the Spartans and the Persians, and of the film 300. But I was confused because like, where was the last stand? It doesn't look like a narrow canyon. Then I found out the shoreline used to come up right to Thermopylae, and there was a coastal passage, and I haven't seen one hunchbacked weird little guy. Disappointed on that front. Luckily, we're mainly here for the town's ancient thermal springs. In ancient Greek times, these springs were known as the entrance to Hades, and obviously there is a faint smell of sulphur in the air, although that could just be the great unwashed in the vans. Either way, I find a nice fast flowing bit and I hop on in. It's been a while, but this series used to be obsessed with spa water, so it's ridiculous now that I'm sitting in 42-degree water like an ancient Greek. Also, there's some weird guy that was following Brody around while I was in the water, following him in his car and staring at him. He'd parked up right next to us in this huge field. I thought he might want to rob our stuff, but I think he was more interested in Brody. This is our journey today. After Thermopylae, I drove to Athens. We got in very late, so an update will come tomorrow. I'll see you later. Hi guys, welcome to episode 50 of Traveling to Vietnam Without Flying. I am currently in Athens, Greece for some reason, and I've managed to arrange it that I only have 1 full day to experience this city. Terrible planning on my part, but obviously it's not possible to do Athens in 24 hours. So I've told myself Mate, just focus on having a nice day, and whatever happens, happens. Brody told me something similar. Ooh, beep, 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 beep. But he did make documentaries, to be fair. He said you can't force shots, you can only film what's in front of you, you can only film reality. So that's what I'm going to do today. And my reality is that I'm not paying 30 euros just to visit the main sites today. And these fucking idiots going to the Roman Forum, you can literally see it from the railings. In all seriousness though, I think that price is completely exclusionary. I found it was the same in Bruges as well. Thought I'd do a little circumnavigation of the Acropolis anyway. I find the cringiest cafe ever. It was 20 degrees today, by the way. Hope you're all fucking jealous. Yeah, and who said you need to pay money to have a good time in Athens? There's plenty of free sites, like this Roman toilet. Anyway, I head to the Areopagus Hill. Then I see this guy, and I saw him in Thermopylae, which is crazy. I've seen this guy like twice now. I think he was unironically doing a 300 tour. There's the Acropolis, or Citadel, from my free vantage point. Realised I forgot to film the Hill of the Nymphs, which was the first public meeting place for Athenians and supposedly the location of the founding of democracy. I'm suddenly booed at by some Argentinian tourists because I'm wearing my Boca Juniors top today. It turns out they're San Lorenzo fans, and they kept talking about how it was the Pope's team. Ooh, the Pope. It's like, well done, mate. You don't see me going on about how Phil the Power Taylor sports Stoke now, do you? Actually, that's a lie. This was a family of cats on the Library of Pantanos built by Trajan, the Roman emperor. Anyway, I've made it round and I'm quite thirsty at this point. Oh, well, I'm incurably romantic and love a great coffee and an admirer of the past over the present. What a fantastic cafe. I'm on to the third book of my trip, which is a fantastic critique of the idea normally purported by books like Sapiens, that humans are inherently evil and selfish and destructive, or that it was only the invention of agriculture which made us like that. Either way, I'm enjoying it and I go for a bit of early dinner, and this is my first drink in ages. The Greek owner sees my football top and starts talking about how he supports Leeds United because in the 70s they were really good. At one point I was just shouting Don Rivi at him. So I ordered like the spicy sausages, but it came with chips and rice. Again, delicious, but it does remind me of this time I was at uni when someone had left a plate of food out which had chips and rice and nothing else on. And my mates and I sang a song for at least 30 minutes and made everyone leave the room. Head back out as this is the first day drinking in ages. And it's the perfect time to say thank you to all of my recent supporters. Today I've got a big bloody beer, mate. Pole now. And they're even playing King Cruel, so it's like I'm 18 all over again. See you later. Hi guys, welcome to episode 51 of Traveling to Vietnam Without Flying. So I am currently in Athens with my hire car, but I have to drop it back off at Thessaloniki airport, so I'm driving back. It's a massive catch up today because I know I haven't posted in a while, and I promise about half of you are going to hate me by the end. Driving along and there's a procession of tanks for like a mile. Didn't realise Greece was about that life. Although the hire car was quite cheap, this entire mini trip has been quite expensive because of the tolls and the petrol. Gas. So maybe I wouldn't recommend this trip unless you're like a Nepo babe or something. Or you have, like friends and stuff. The drive was bloody lovely to be fair, and the roads are quite well maintained. Obviously built by the EU, and I dread to think how much debt Greece is into Germany by now. I got back quite late the first night, so I kind of just went to bed. Before this trip, I didn't realise hotels could be 1 star. Anyway, the next morning I'm thinking about pigeons. They get so much abuse, but we literally domesticated them and then discarded them. Like, no wonder they can't make nests, because we completely ruined their brains. Day of admin, didn't film it, but I went out for dinner. And I'll just take this time to quickly shout out Norwich Football Club. Massive revelation. I got the curry sauce, and it is yogurty curry, and it's like coronation chicken. It's frankly not on, to be honest. Anyway, this Retsinus, a dry white wine with pine resin in it. So I messaged the only local I know and just got shit on. Can I just say, Casino Royale was my favourite Bond film, and was kind of the only reason I was going to go to Montenegro until I found out the hotel it was filmed was in Czech Republic. After I got there, obviously. Every time I get this fucking pint, I'm reminded of this twat and his smirk. I know this is a bit of a whistle-stop tour, but I've had a lot of stuff to catch up on. Head back for, thankfully, my final night in Thessaloniki. Not because I dislike it here, literally the opposite. I've just spent so much time here. I have a few hours to kill until my bus, so I wander over to the train station where it's departing from. Now, I personally would have taken that down if I had a huge crash on my network. In all seriousness though, like 67 people died in the most horrific crash I've ever read about. It's moderately warm, so I think it's time for a Fredo cappuccino. Right, it's the moment of truth, and I'm afraid I'm going back to North Macedonia. Ooh, but that's the wrong way. Yes, I know. But it's the sunk cost fallacy. I can get away with anything now. And I promise there is a little bit of thinking involved. I have a wisdom tooth which has given me a lot of jip. So I think what better place to go than to North Macedonia, aka the toilet of the Balkans, to get it out. I get into the city in the early evening and I check into my hotel eventually. And there's a football game on tonight. It's North Macedonia versus Malta in the European qualifiers. I couldn't find a ticket office anywhere. Everyone had paper tickets. So I went up to one of the stewards and we agreed on a price of 300 dinar to let me in for basically €5. And for that price, I expect a really good game of football. Unfortunately, this was the most exciting thing in the first half. Actually, this was the most tin pot thing I've ever heard. The game was still going on and they started playing the halftime advert. Penalty was awarded to Macedonia. Oh, never mind, he's been sent over to the VAR monitor, you know what's coming. He really did think he was the main character. They're like, yeah, I know he's the ref, but come on, Davina. There we go. Anyway, they do score, and to be honest, the atmosphere is a bit dead. It is Malta at the end of the day. But then when they score a second, I see this on the left. And at first I assume it's a flare, but I think they just set fire to something. Still though, completely incomparable to the Tirana derby I went to in Albania. Although there's still just as many sunflower seeds and cigarettes. Still glad I went, to be honest. It was a fun day. I'll see you tomorrow. Hi guys, welcome to episode 52 of Traveling to Vietnam Without Flying. Still in Skopje, North Macedonia, and I've woken up this morning in one of the most disgusting hotel rooms I've ever stayed in. I was supposed to stay there for a week as well, but I managed to get out of the booking. Go to a cafe bar called Short Bus, and I read this review online. But when I got there, I was like, how on earth did someone get stabbed here? Because they're literally playing Buddhist chanting. Apparently it was over a goal. Anyway, so I mentioned in my last video, I'm actually here to get a wisdom tooth removed, and it's not a good omen that the sex shop is right next to it, the dental surgeon. Today was just the x-ray, and it cost £5, and it was immediate from when I walked in, no appointment. I don't think they even do wisdom tooth removal on the NHS anyway. Also, I had a few comments about Race Across the World, saying like, oh, it's a TikTok version of it. I hate to break it to you, but it's really not. I would not win that competition in the slightest. Went out for dinner and drinks, and I'll actually shout out Ipswich Town this time. I think it might have been like the third Judas comment where I started to feel guilty. At this bar, I went for a piss, briefly leaving my table. Came back and my table's gone. And then they said, oh, you want to pay? I was like, Jesus, you could make it a little bit less obvious. You want to get rid of me so badly. Anyway, today I'm actually going to do some cultural stuff. And you might notice something weird about the buildings, but I'll come back to that later. This is the fortress of Skopje. And this is a statue of Philip II of Macedon, which again would be controversial in Greece. I head on over to the Old Bazaar district, or aka like the Old City, which is a host of shops and stores, and obviously I get some baklava. So I found that Macedonians, one, accept bribes, and they're also very quick to scam you. My advice would be for anything informal, always ask the price before and make sure you get a receipt. Like obviously as an Englishman, I definitely paid more for the baklava than locals. I am not the type to kick up a fuss over something less than £2, especially if it's already delicious. Right, so you might have noticed all the neoclassical buildings around, and that is a product of this conservative project, which started in 2014, includes 20 buildings, and it cost over $500 million. It's wildly unpopular here as well because it's a country with huge unemployment and poverty, and they're spending this much money on essentially aesthetics. A few of the locals also told me that due to the nature of the corruption here, a lot of these buildings cost a lot more than it should have been. And you know, these kind of cronies, a lot of these contracts ended up going to their mates. Also try and antiquitize North Macedonia, i.e. tying in the modern nation state of North Macedonia to the ancient Greek and Roman past. What a perfect segue into the archaeological museum that I visited. It actually started off with a prehistoric exhibition on this land, which also ties in perfectly with the book I'm reading at the moment. But obviously then I went into the more classical stuff, and this statue was found in Bitola. Heraclean Cestus. Oh yeah, the dogging spot. I wonder what Titus Flavius would think of it all. I feel like he'd probably be on board. I feel like the Romans were into that kind of stuff. So this museum was actually one of the buildings that was built as part of the Skopje 2014 plan. So obviously it's brand new, but I can't help thinking that a lot of these exhibits are quite political. That being said, the displays of these items are incredible. These are real lithic markings on Paleolithic flint tools, over 50,000 years old. So like I said, I'm really impressed by the quality and the context of each of the displays, but I can't help but feeling in the back of my mind that this is quite a cynical project. Like for example, the locals have graffitied over the Hellenic monuments. Not sure if this one was praising Macedonia or just basically saying fuck Macedonia, but who knows. And that's Alexander the Great, obviously. There are a lot of Romanis on the street here, and this kid was literally huffing glue from a bag. At night you see a lot of kids going around selling balloons and begging, and I've been told a lot of it is tied into the mafia. So tonight I have what I think is a date, or maybe just meeting up with friends. Either way, I don't care, I just want to chat to a local. Nothing juicy to share. I walk back to my hotel, which is next to the Russian embassy, and it's really funny. I know I haven't posted in a few days. My mum cares more about you guys than I do. But like I said, I'm sorry for the delay, but yeah, had this out. Also, it took 2.5 hours because the route was bent at a 90-degree angle. I mean, just look at the fucking state of me. Give me a few days. I'm sorry. Hi guys, welcome to episode 53 of Traveling to Vietnam Without Flying, aka Mega Trip, aka when the fuck you're going to leave the Balkans. All in good time, viewers. On my way to get my stitches out for my wisdom tooth removal here in Skopje, North Macedonia. And I see a single magpie twice. I don't know if it's just a British thing, which is like 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for girl, 4 for... But yeah, I mean, that's double sorrow. It does remind me of when I was 18 though. I was driving way too quickly down some country lanes, and I clipped a magpie coming out of a tree suddenly. And I always think, did I kill sorrow? Have I conquered it? Or is that mega sorrow? I'm not allowed hot drinks, so I have to go to a really embarrassing cafe for my cold coffees. And I've had a lot of spare time, so I made one of these corny maps, just so you can appreciate how efficiently I've gone about going to Vietnam. Also, can I just say I'm halfway through Dawn of Everything right now, and it feels like the first book I've read in years, where I feel truly illuminated. It's the perfect antidote to those common lazy takes which project our own hellscape back onto prehistoric people, and it champions a more creative baseline for humankind. Anyway, so my dental surgery is up in the hills of Skopje, and in my head I'm obviously imagining me going up to Hollywood Hills to where the millionaires live. And I suppose it's not far off, because this is like the only good dental surgery in the entire country. All good. I feel immediate relief once they're out. Although I am thinking back to Monday and the removal, when the dentist was putting in the local anaesthetic into my gum, and she was like, "Is okay? Is okay?" I was like, yeah, don't worry, I like my anaesthetics. Having a bus sponsored by DeWalt seems very Balkan.
To see where it's made. Do it for you.
I decided to celebrate with a Zlatan Dab beer, and all I can think about is how nice a smoke would be right now, but that's the one thing I'm not allowed to do. Browsing Twitter and I see loads of discourse about this. I uncovered this back in February.
Once the air raid siren is over on your phone, it says in this corny American accent, "The air raid is over, may the force be with you."
I did think it was corny, and almost every Ukrainian I spoke to in the pub thought it was corny. Anyway, I head on out for dinner, and God, these Balkan cats, man. This fellow is permanently perched outside of my hotel. I have spent a criminally long time in this country, disproportionate time, and I'm fucking over it. No offense, don't worry, now the stitches are out, I will be moving on tomorrow. Also, I'll let you in a secret, so my mates are flying out to Sofia on the 6th for my stag do, obviously. Also, I've given up even going to other parts of the city now. I just keep going to this cantina place for pasta and beer. Low-key one today, but I am back. I'll see you later. Hi guys, welcome to episode 54 of Exploring North Macedonia apparently. It's my final day in Skopje. It's a Saturday and I've only got 3 things on my mind, and that's grub, booze and football. I have lunch at Cantina, because to be honest, if you can get 2 plates of food and 2 beers for a tenner, why would you go anywhere else? Then frankly, I'm locked in at the Irish pub, although not the best view of the football. Getting a bit angsty at half time, and I noticed this couple next to me, he's got a half pint of Guinness and she's got a big pint. Look over to my left, because this guy's on TikTok, not on Megatrip, but I did get a fascinating outlook into the North Macedonian boomer's male's brain. And I can safely say it's snacks, fishing and MMA. Fancying a coffee and just thinking about how much of a menace I'm being today. Maybe I need to start some TikTok beef. I think this is probably a stupid idea, but if anyone's an artist and you send in like a Megatrip design tattoo, I would literally get it tattooed in my next destination. Nip to the shops and this guy's selling tinnies to 10-year-olds. It's so brazen, I have to respect it. Thanks to my supporters, but I think it would be funnier if I'm using these donations to fund underage drinking. No comment, I'll see you tomorrow. Hi guys, welcome to episode 55 of Traveling to Vietnam Without Flying. Finally leaving Skopje, the capital of North Macedonia. But it's weird, it's almost like I've got Stockholm syndrome. Walk to the bus station and I'm nervous. Go for a wee and I realise that one of the cubicles is just called Gay Room, which feels like something which would have been graffitied at the primary school in 2005. But like I said, finally moving on. And to a destination I wasn't necessarily planning to go to originally, Niš in Serbia. Hopefully that green downward arrow will placate some of you more hostile Megatrip viewers. I basically have a few days to kill until my mates fly out to Sofia on Thursday. The bus is clean, I'm feeling joyous. I finally make it to the Serbian border and I am out of North Macedonia. I had a great time there and I met some really good people, but my god, I'm over it. I'm never going back, I'm sorry. Get off the coach to show my passport. All good, except the guy made me repeat my name like 3 times. It's like, Alan? It's like, nah, George Allen. It's like, George Allen? Yes, George Allen. George Allen? Yes, George. What is this? Right, that's anecdote of the day. Pretty uneventful Sunday. A little bit apprehensive about coming here. I think because I've subconsciously inhaled a few of my Albanian friends' opinions on them. But obviously going in with a clear mind, no prejudices. The average salary here is €300 a month, and there's quite a stark divide between the rich and the poor. People here dress vaguely conservatively, but apparently they hate authority. First impression is that it's definitely a little bit cleaner than Macedonia, although both places seem to have a very outgoing, sociable lifestyle. I think that's characteristic of the Balkans as a whole, to be honest. My accommodation looks like a love hotel, but for 15 quid a night, who cares? I arrived a bit late and it's a Sunday as well, so the main sites are closed. So I just got out for a drink and a bite to eat at a Serbian restaurant with some Napoleon pictures. Chopska salad, meat and bread. See you tomorrow. Welcome to episode 56 of Traveling to Vietnam Without Flying. Had to channel Wim Hof during my cold shower this morning because I forgot to put on the hot water tank. Go for a walk around the Niš fortress this morning, which was an old Ottoman fortress built on top of Byzantine ruins here. And don't worry, this is me walking around with all my stuff. I am on the move today. Shout out Kieran who beat me to this joke that I did have planned in my notes, I promise. So Niš was the birthplace of Constantine the Great, of conversion and city fame. Unfortunately, the 2 things I really wanted to see are still closed, and I hadn't checked unfortunately, so I've decided just to get a bus instead. I go on to Balkan Theatre, which has not let me down so far, which throws up that option, but the bus station has no record of it. But apparently there's another bus station. As I'm walking over there, I'm given a bar of chocolate because I helped some guy pick up his glasses. I'm surprisingly enjoying the communist and grey aesthetic today. So after 20 minutes of walking, I make it to where apparently I can get this bus from. It's literally just a residential car park. So what else do you do when you're on the outskirts of a city in Eastern Europe? Yeah, you go to the massive mall and get some McDonald's. Need their Wi-Fi, and I get this message from one of my followers. Decide, look, I'll head there and sort my life out and decide where I'm going today. GT Barney, I can safely say that, yeah, it is a cool bar. Your friends are right. Can you believe I got blocked from the guy I went for a drink with in Skopje? Don't get me wrong, it's not my smoothest riz, but I didn't think it was worthy of a blocking. So I can tell you why I think Serbia is a country of wrong-uns, and not because of like their history, but because when you get a slice of pizza, they say if you want ketchup or mayo on it. I walk back to the bus station via the old bazaar where a lot of the working class Serbs ply their trade at the market. You have to pay just to get inside the bus station, but I do have a bus planned. It's at 6 p.m. To be fair to Nish Express, it is a pretty sweet bus station. Right, that's my bus arriving now. Oh wait, wrong one, it's this one. Some random member of the public gave the driver a bag and a wad of cash. The driver just put it on his passenger seat. So today I'm going to Pristina in Kosovo. I've always really wanted to visit, and I was going to do this the other way round from Skopje. But I found out that it is illegal under Serbian law to enter Serbia from Kosovo without a Serbian passport stamp, as they would view it as trespass. So I've had to do it the other way around. Kosovo unilaterally declared their independence from Serbia in 2008, but realistically they've been independent since the war in 2000, which ended with the controversial NATO bombing, which wasn't sanctioned by the UN Security Council, which struck Yugoslav targets, but also killed civilians on both sides. Anyway, I arrived at the border, and I realised that the bus that I'm on is actually full of Serbian passengers, which I suppose I found surprising just because obviously the demographics of Kosovo is almost entirely Albanian, hence the dispute. Then I noticed that on the front of the bus it's actually going to Gaziantep, which is a Serb enclave within Kosovo. When I was in Albania, I described a money laundering scheme including mobilis furniture shops. Hilarious to find out they have it here, they're just called mobiliaries. So like I said, I'm the only passenger to get off at Pristina, which was a bit awkward as obviously everyone else was heading to the Serb enclave. Anyway, it's absolutely pissing it down, and I think I locate my hostel. And I don't know if they slapped the signs on afterwards, but I don't know what this has to say about gender. And if there's one thing I know about Albanians, is that they love Novacek. See you tomorrow. Hi guys, welcome back to episode 57 of Traveling to Vietnam Without Flying. I am currently in one of Europe's lesser known capital cities, Pristina in Kosovo. First thoughts this morning is where the fuck did all this snow come from? And also very offended that Kosovan TV don't want to interview me. It is good to be back amongst Albanians, so I think it's only fitting to visit my third Skanderbeg Square on this trip. And this is the missing monument to the 1,650 people still missing from the Kosovan War. Head over to the National Museum here. I've heard that a lot of pieces of Kosovan heritage were actually looted during the war, which might explain the relative sparseness of the museum, although it just seems that a lot of the exhibits are still being built. That being said, all of the ancient stuff is fascinating, and they also had an entire floor dedicated to like the Day of Independence in 2008, and obviously a memorial to all of those who died during the war. Basic bitch lunch, £5 with a coffee. Walking over to the National Library here. The building is supposed to fuse Byzantine, Islamic and pre-Romanesque styles in its architecture, so understandably the Serbians didn't like it when it was built in 1982. So Pristina's interesting, like a lot of it was destroyed in the war, but there's obviously a lot of international money here. Lots of buildings going up. But the weirdest thing to me is the deification of Bill Clinton and other Americanisms, because obviously they sanctioned the NATO bombing and essentially freed Kosovo from the Serbian grip. So I already knew about the Bill Clinton stuff, but shout out wet ass Paddington for this comment, because I did not know that that was a thing. Although I haven't met anyone called Honorable Bill Clinton yet, or fucking Hillary Lewinsky. The newborn monument celebrating their independence. Went to the National Stadium as well, but I didn't get a proper good look at it, to be honest. I said the NATO bombing was controversial, but if I was Kosovan, I'd much rather be under the cringy American liberal grip than fucking Milosevic. Got a recommendation for Ditty Nat for a beer and a breed. This is terrible content, but look how decrepit those sausages look. Go to a book bar for dinner, and like I said, there's a lot of new money here. And this is obviously a very rough generalisation, but a lot of the places I visited have a very shortage vibe, in that it's, new millennial money, vaguely hipster, but at the end of the day still corporate and a bit soulless. But George, it's not like you to make massive generalisations after one day of being in the country. Yes, viewers, I know it's very out of character. The red wine finally broke me down, and I had a cigarette. First time in a week, it was like silk. Wow, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hi guys, welcome to episode 58 of Traveling to Vietnam Without Flying. I am currently catastrophically hungover, so bear with me on this one. I'm in Kosovo, or at least I was when I was filming this. Thought I'd include their national anthem. Thank you USA, you are the peacekeeper, you are the legend. I'm going to Sofia today. Watch the previous video for context. Don't be fucking lazy. Don't worry, I eventually saw out a bus, but unfortunately I couldn't go via Serbia, so I have to go back to fucking Skopje in North Macedonia. Mere days after saying I would never return. Anyway, this is just me arriving now and then booking my bus to Sofia. Oh, it's tomorrow morning at 8:30 AM. I feel like you might be thinking, oh, that was sarcastic because you actually want to stay here another night. It's very much not the case. But the problem with this part of the Balkans is that you can't buy the bus tickets online, so it's a bit of a lottery when you arrive. So yeah, I'm feeling genuinely unfortunate that I'm here for another night, getting pied by the local women. Go for a pint, and I'm telling you, the neoclassical architecture is like daggers in my eyes. Just going to add my 2 cents on backpack versus suitcase discourse.
On wheels. Real men don't get the earth to help carry their luggage, mate. They carry it themselves.
Not gonna lie, I was tempted just to not mention the fact that I'm fucking back here. But don't worry, it's brief. I literally just went out for pasta and a beer, straight to the bus station first thing. So my mates are flying out to Sofia, actually. I mean, they've already arrived, I've already gone out with them. This is a day late, which is why this video is such a fucking state. The bus doesn't smell like cigarettes, which is nice for a change. And I'll tell you what, you'd never believe that this journey is between 2 capital cities in Europe, because the roads are fucking atrocious. I've actually decided to cut here to do Sofia justice, so I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Hi guys, welcome to episode 59 of Traveling to Vietnam without flying. Currently in Sofia, Bulgaria with 3 of my best mates and Ben. Anyway, I get to the flat where my mates are already inside and they tell me to just buzz in. They kept this bit up for 15 minutes. Don't expect much cultural stuff this week. I accidentally ordered dobles of rakia, which actually is 4 shots. And I think I was imagining the Twin Peaks S-bar. Shout out everyone who's bought me a beer. I promise you every single one has been drank. The atmosphere is alternating between openly hostile and toxic. Who's the first player that comes to mind when you see the shirt and why is it Benjani? I've been gone nearly 3 months, and obviously in that time I've built up quite a niche following on TikTok, so my mates have bringing me back down to earth with the much needed humbling and abuse I deserve.
Next one's getting in. Yeah, right.
Looking at this back, I'm thinking, why the fuck did I touch rakia again? Safe to say it reaches a point in the night where I just stopped filming, and let's just say I'm not quite up to speed with the English drinking. So last night I managed to lose my mates, didn't have any dinner, I was absolutely fucked. Anyway, after I left, apparently my mate Ben got pushed by a bouncer. Anyway, the next morning we go to a bar for lunch, and inside are the scariest blokes I've ever seen in my life, including the fucking bouncer from last night. So obviously he's trying to keep a low profile for the rest of the day because he thinks he's going to get whacked. We were imagining the mafias to actually be having a summit just to discuss what to do with Ben. Yes, we got the to-do list, his arms shipment, cocaine delivery and Ben. Push again? Question mark. I think this might be the 5th accident I've seen on this trip now. Oh, and this bar, didn't even realise how decrepit it was until we went to the toilet. I mean, please put down the Ron Jeremy poster, it's fucking horrible. More shots, and we go to dinner. Off a recommendation from Ted, proper traditional establishment, all in Bulgarian, but we do manage to translate the name of the restaurant. Like I said, very traditional, it's called I Came Myself.
That's anti-communism with smooth shoes.
Rest of the night was a write-off. I'll see you later. Hi guys, welcome to episode 60 of Traveling to Vietnam without flying. We head straight over to the Museum of Socialist Art here in Sofia, Bulgaria today to stroke Lenin, obviously. Realise there's only 3 kinds of Bulgarians: kids, parents and babushkas. Also, the only reason why I've been doing laps of the Balkans because I had to wait for my friends to come out. But by the end of this video, they will be gone and I will be travelling to Vietnam expeditiously, I promise. 3rd day here, we're all feeling pretty rough, especially Ted, saying he can't even eat. Come on mate, try some pig ears, that'll sort you right out. 5 beers later, we're all right as rain. Get to the Vivacom Arena for a local derby, although unfortunately it's more Chelsea Fulham than Celtic Rangers. It's genuinely a preposterous turnout by the away fans, and up there with one of the worst games of football I've ever seen, but the fans behind the goal were making a lot of noise. Was expecting literal fireworks though. Go to Ropoto Rakia, a communist themed restaurant for dinner, and yeah, top tier stuff. Splashing out for the final night. Started the Sputnik bar and ended up here. I don't even know where this was.
This place is extremely touristic.
It's frankly a miracle I'm still filming at this point, and Chris has had enough. Next morning has a distinctively last day of the holiday vibe. Well, at least for the boys, not for me. But that's mainly because I'm an unemployed traveller. Nonetheless, all jokes are falling flat. Our hearts really aren't in this. And I do think we might have actually broken Chris. Doesn't help that Ben's dragged us 4 miles outside of town to the wrong museum. This man loves stretching his legs. Oh, we'll just go to the wrong museum, stretch our legs. I'm not gonna lie, it's actually really good. It's just our hearts still aren't in this, to be honest. It's sad to have to say goodbye to the 4 boys who have flown out, and it's very humbling for them to do that. I go out for a quiet pint to watch the Liverpool-Arsenal game. I see on the TV another Sofia derby, which I was thinking of going to, but after the game yesterday, I sacked it off. I almost felt a bit jealous when I saw the pyre of stadium seats in the away end. Get chatting to a guy from Hertfordshire who, on a whim, via Skyscanner, flew out to Sofia with his mate. And yeah, obviously we go out. I'm like 6 pints deep at this point. Deck was also at the game, but he accidentally got tickets in the Ultras end, and he was wearing the wrong colours on his jacket. He was saying that apparently if it wasn't for an intervention from a local, they would have had the shit kicked out of them.
Get to the fucking bar, you fucking little dickhead!
Bump into a stag do, proper Brits abroad stuff this. Time for bed, I think. Heavy weekend. See you guys later. Welcome to episode 61 of Traveling to Vietnam without flying. Straight over to the train station here in Sofia because I want to get the sleeper train to Istanbul, but there were no spots available for 2 days, so I had to get a sleeper bus instead at 11:59 p.m. Finished all of everything. Incredible book. I found this deep in my bag. Would recommend it. Read it in 1 sitting. Stopped in for a spot at lunch, and they must have decided that my back of the head was integral to their marketing campaign at the pub. I actually donated both of my finished books to a local bookstore. And what else do you do when you've got a few hours to kill? The custodian at Club Long John is dry, cynical, funny but welcoming. Right, a few wines to loosen myself up. I've got like a 10-hour coach ride ahead of me, so it's pretty daunting to be honest. Brush my teeth before I get on, and I'm just thinking about how great it is to be leaving the Balkans. Judging by the cold response I got in Sofia, I think they're happy to get rid of me as well, to be honest. I've definitely overstayed my welcome. Realised that this night bus was the worst idea I've ever had. Stops every hour and a half with lights blaring. Then obviously passport control took ages because this American forgot that he needed a visa to get into the country. According to the 6 AM news, we're arriving to intended intense flooding and record-breaking inflation. 24 Turkish lira to the pound today. I checked, and the last time I was here it was 2.4. Although not gonna lie, I think the last time I was in this country was close to when After Sun was supposed to be set in Mega Trip. It was funny, like before I left, my mum, bless her, had said, "Oh, actually I found some lira the other day from our last trip that we'd forgotten about. Let me go get it." And it turns out that these days it was barely enough to get a double cheeseburger from the Pound Saver menu. I'm so intimidated by Istanbul, and not because of the people or the culture or anything, but just because of the sheer size of it and the density of everything. Dropped my bags off at the hostel. Feeling slightly delirious after my probably about 3 hours sleep, and it doesn't help when we get locked in. It's funny as well, I forgot to film it, but later on I got locked out, and apparently in between the hostel owner had come to fix the door. I love the idea of him alternating between locked in and locked out, as if that creates some kind of equilibrium. It's absolutely pissing it down, but it does not dampen my spirits because that is Asia. I mean, to be honest, I'm basically there. I might as well just turn back now. Thanks for watching the series, thanks for the money. Oh, I've seen my first hair transplant, and in the Egyptian market as well. Decided that now it's stopped raining, I'm going to go down to the Bosphorus just so I can stare at Asia. I'm fully aware that Eurasia is one massive landmass, but I think it's important to note that, you know, people in the West do orientalize everything on the other side of that line. And in the coming weeks, I'm going to do my utmost to avoid doing that. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Episode 62, mega trip, not mini trip, 3 days in Istanbul, 2 minutes, up to 10 on the hair transplant count. You can imagine the doctors going, don't worry about it, man. It's very inconspicuous, and to be honest, no one really cares. No! I care. I notice, and I'm laughing behind your back. My Turkish friend in London said she could do divination from my coffee cup. She said, make a wish and show me the remnants. I wish I don't die on the trip. Oh, fuck. Istanbul has chewed me up and spat me out. But I can't lie, I think it's the best city I've been to so far. Hands down. That being said, I think the variety of scams here is very fascinating. My personal favourite is the workman who drops his tool in front of you. And when you pick it up, he pretends to act so grateful and he offers you a free shoe shine. And then obviously then charges you. Luckily, I'd read about it, but the third time it happened, I was tempted to fucking yeet it with my foot. And plenty of bad acting. My mother, she has cancer, we need to go to the hospital. I was like, okay, I'll get you an Uber, I was like, no, I need cash. Can I just say, my first night in the hostel, a guy from Oxford invited me out with his mates, and then ghosted my messages. Like, don't invite me in the first place, my friend. I was pretty ambivalent. But it really is an amazing city. Food, nightlife, energy. You do have to get used to saying no thank you a lot. And it's definitely different if you're a woman. Did try cocorette and I loved it. It's offal wrapped in sheep intestines. If you've ever been to Silk Road in Camberwell, you know, you get the little kebab skewers of offal and stuff. Delicious. It reminded me of that. Causing mayhem at the North Macedonian bus. The cross-section of history here is fucking amazing. Obviously having the old Greek and Roman influences, but then having all the Ottoman mosques and culture around it, it just makes for such an interesting place to visit. But it also feels distinctly European. Really wanted to go to a Fenerbahce game, but in order to buy a ticket, because of hooliganism, you have to buy a credit card in the club's name, and then you're able to buy one ticket. At that point I just gave up, to be honest. Also, there's a huge cruise terminal, which was the most uncultured place I've ever seen in my life. It was horrible. Also, the areas around the Topkapi Palace and the Hagia Sophia, there's like loads of mansions, and it's all owned by the Hilton Collection. Also, I've met 3 followers here, which is obviously a little bit mental for me, but it was a lot of fun. And I know I shit on Americans a lot, but Jenna's alright. Last night I ended up going out, back to an afters, get locked on the balcony. Harry'd lost her head and wouldn't let us back in. And these guys wake you up at 3 AM. It's like, mate, it's not even cold to pray yet. Why are you doing this? We also semi-accidentally stole 5 Guinness cans. I'll see you tomorrow. Hi guys, welcome to episode 63 of Travelling to Vietnam Without Flying. After the antics of last night, I've had about 4 hours sleep in Istanbul before my night bus tonight at 11 PM. Last night we went to do a booze run at about 3 AM. Went to a little corner shop, asked for 5 cans of Guinness. I thought she said like 200 lira, so I handed it over. And then it was like, no, 75 lira each. So I was like, you know what? Fuck that, it's too expensive. But luckily this creepy guy had already given me the bag, so we just walked off. Don't think they even realised. Today was a write-off. Made it to the bus station. So tonight I'm going to Göreme in Turkey, which is like the touristy heartland of Cappadocia. They even had like a little video they played before the bus. I think it's quite a fancy one. And not gonna lie, I do actually get some sleep for once. Just quite a bit of waking up in the days, quickly filming something, then going straight back to sleep. It takes 12 hours all in all. And the scenery is fascinating because I've never really been to Anatolia before. I've been to like the western coast, but that was for a family holiday. Lots of mountains and plains. And Cappadocia, I mean, I'm not gonna put on my non-existent geologist hat, but essentially some of these rocks are very volcanic and they basically create lots of interesting shapes. All in all, it kind of feels like an alien landscape, like a different planet. It's really cool. Which is then magnified because a lot of the caves have been chiseled out of the rock, originally by the Christians who used to live here under the Byzantines. So some of these, now boutique hotels, they're over 1,000 years old and they used to be a church. The waiter with a proud grin told me that he made the seasoning for the sheep liver himself, in kebab form with all the trimmings, all the salads, all the seasonings. It was so good. It's obviously very touristy, but frankly, I've spent a lot more money than I'd budgeted, so yeah, I need to go to these areas for the cheaper hostels, I'm afraid. And obviously the other thing this area is known for is its hot air balloons, although apparently they only go up in the morning, so I am going to get up early after this video ends. Sorry, still thinking about the food. Just condiments. Why isn't that a thing in the Balkans? I'm sorry. Although that being said, we bumped into a Indian couple who were on holiday here, and it was just so funny to hear them complain about the lack of seasoning, swinging their big seasoning dick around. That being said, I've got to admit, I think Turks are the masters of the sheep. And I don't mean in the Welsh way, I mean like in terms of cooking it, seasoning it, wrapping it up. And I can't believe I just made that joke, to be honest. Obviously trying to attract the Lad Bible crowd. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Mega Trip, episode 64. Up just before dawn here in Göreme, Turkey. To hopefully see the balloons. This is what they're supposed to look like, but not much going on yet. Found a nice spot. God, I wonder if everyone claps. Getting seriously distracted by the guy in skinny jeans who's exercising to the left of me. So I wait half an hour, no sign. Find a Turkish weather website, and they're not running because it's too windy. God, I could have checked that in bed so I could have slept. Oh, for God's sake. Decided to go for a walk instead. I think physically, mentally, spiritually, I'm so unhealthy at the moment, but the walk and the aesthetics are making me feel reborn. Also, the fact it's 7 AM and I'm the only one up and about feels good. I think the only time I truly feel like this is when I'm walking back from an afters. But this time I've beaten the crowds like normally. The alarm went off and I just got up. It's crazy. Okay, maybe safe to say I'm not special. After about an hour, I'm closing in on my destination, which is Kavasin, an ancient village here. The locals here were only ejected from their houses in the caves in 1963. Crossed a sketchy broken wooden bridge to my destination, the St. John the Baptist Church, which dates from the 6th century AD. It's a little basilica here, which blew my mind. I'm loving being able to explore freely rather than the soulless transaction sometimes of having to pay for history. This church dates to the period not long after the Christianization of the Eastern Roman Empire. Still a good 500 years or so before the Seljuk Turks took over this area. Although these frescoes were actually drawn during the post-iconoclastic period in the 9th or 10th century. It's also been recorded that a lot of the churches in Cappadocia were places of refuge during Arab raids. A church like this would have had an area to store a relic, apparently, such as the bones of a saint, and then humble little pilgrims would come to venerate from all around. I climbed through some really narrow passageways which really aren't built for me and my wagon, but I make it to the top so I can have my breakfast, which is some Swedish ginger thin biscuits. To accompany the majestic view, you can even see where the rocks have fallen away from over chiseling. Much like Icarus, they flew too close to the sun. I make my way back down, because after my very dry breakfast I'm in desperate need of coffee and orange juice. Well, one final look anyway. Make it back down to the village, and I notice that this sign is in place. And when I read it, of course I only see the no entrance danger of death sign afterwards. I went up a different way. There is another church in the area which is unfortunately closed for undisclosed reasons, but I make it to the fairy chimneys. Essentially softer rock underneath it erodes, leaving this distinctly phallic shape, which is presumably where this valley gets its name, the Love Valley. Walking back to town, and I promise you from the road I genuinely thought someone had hung themselves. Like, Christ, I'm a budding Logan Paul over here. Spot a grab. All this talk of love has got me in the mood for Bumble for some reason. Oh, Osman. Well, I like making videos too, my friend. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Welcome to episode 65 of Travelling to Vietnam Without Flying. I get on the bus that I booked last night here in Cappadocia, Turkey, and once I get on I realise that I've actually booked a ticket to Aksaray rather than Kayseri. Shouldn't be a problem. Thinking I only had a couple of pints at the Indian place last night. It's not like me to make such a weird mistake. Actually, it's pretty on brand, to be honest. I mean, like I said, it's not an issue. It's just two very opposite directions. But when I get to Aksaray, I go up to the bus desks and every single bus onwards, it's full. To the destination I have in mind anyway, so I have to go all the way back to Kayseri. It's humiliating. I was tempted to not even share this with you. But, you know, you're in here for the long haul now. The good and the bad. Lovely little burek wrap here with a bit of cheese, delicious. But yeah, my destination today is Adana in Turkey, near the Mediterranean coast. Home of the Adana kebab, which after the fast of today is the only thing I have on my mind for tonight. The buses here are great. They even have a little steward that comes down and gives you little drinks. Look at that. The coach goes through the Topeshir Milli Parki, like a mountainous national park. It is really beautiful. But the guys behind me are really horrible. I keep spitting on a coach. And this is when I find out that the bus station here is 5 kilometers out of town. No discernible public transport. Uh-oh. I think I'm gonna have to get a taxi. The local next to me gives me a cigarette and says, "Trust no one. This place is like Texas." I think he means the Wild West, but I get his vibe. But I think I was savvy, no problems. Might be getting the hang of this travel shtick. I arrived quite late, and like I said, the only thing on my mind is an Adana kebab. And I think I've located a family-run spot down one of the back street sokaks here.
It's half an hour before closing, but they do let me in. To be fair, I knew exactly what I wanted. Adana kebab, all the trimmings, all the salad. You believe I found out about pomegranate molasses from fucking Alhan from Gasworks. All of this was 110 lira, but I gave him 150. Just over £4. En route to Paddy's pub for a drink. Pop into a corner shop for cigarettes. I say hello in Turkish, Mahaba, and he goes, Malbora? I was like, no, Camel Blues. Undeterred, I try and be polite at the bar. I say, Efes Lutfen? And the barmaid, she was really hot, she just laughed in my face. I was just like, yeah, Efes please, love, cheers. Not my finest work, see you tomorrow.
Hi guys, welcome to episode 66 of Travelling to Vietnam Without Flying. Currently in the southern city of Adana in Turkey, and I'm definitely sticking out a lot more these days. And I'm not gonna lie, in the sun, it's starting to swelter a little bit, especially with my bag and my complexion. Vitamin D is a hell of a drug, I'm telling you. Actually, I was thinking I'm close enough to the Middle East now, I should really put on the Hollywood filter. That's much better, much more authentic. Talking of the sun, it reminds me of this Turkish insult I heard, which is like a couple of words or like a few words, and it essentially means I will plant a tree inside of your mum and fuck your sister in the shade, which is just so efficient for an insult. I feel like we've got nothing like that in English. Catching the busiest train ever to the bus station. Also soppy bit. Oh my god, it's absolutely ridiculous what's happened in the last 3 months. Thank you so much for your support. I try and avoid using taxis wherever possible to avoid any, scam artists. But it does make things a little bit more interesting, such as walking along a dual carriageway to the bus station. But I think I just like the funny looks, to be honest. Quick chicken doner wrap, and I am going to Gaziantep or Antep in Turkey today. You might have seen this area in the news recently because of the earthquake which happened here a couple of months ago, where over 50,000 people unfortunately lost their lives, with many millions more affected. More on that to come. I get a very brief glimpse of the Mediterranean as we're driving. We head through mountainous areas and the greens are so vivid, it's really beautiful. As I head closer to our destination, it becomes a little bit more obvious about the effects of the earthquake. I did see collapsed buildings, but I didn't quite have enough time to film it, but I have seen many tents and entire villages of kind of porter cabins where the newly homeless people have been put in. Also, it's worth noting that up to 5% of Turkish population at the moment are refugees, with many more presumably undocumented. A large number of these being Syrian and Afghani, which obviously puts the UK to shame, to be honest. So I arrive at my hotel in Antep and I give my washing to a mate of the hotel owner. Hopefully I see that again. Buy a very affordable chig kofta wrap, which is like a lamb minced meat with bulgur and mixed in. It's like a falafel with meat. It's really nice. And I get a sweet treat as well because it's famed for their sweet treats here. It's actually the home of baklava. And also my visit coincides with the end of Ramadan, so the streets are completely alive with people breaking their fast. But it's also a very conservative part of Turkey, and it seems that every bar which normally sells alcohol is closed, so I am on the hunt for a beer. I read that because alcohol is so difficult to find here, it results in a lot of bootleg alcohol being made here, along with a lot of deaths because it's not made safely. Not sure what this says for me as a person, but after failing, I talk to a waiter and he brings me a beer in a mug. He didn't even rip me off. I go back to the hotel and all my washing's ready, I just need to dry it. Along with a gift from the washer, I imagine. See you later. Hi guys, welcome to episode 67 of Travelling to Vietnam Without Flying. I'm currently in Antep in southern Turkey, and it is Eid. It's the breaking of the fast at the end of Ramadan, or known as Bayram in Turkish, but it also means that there's no one about, apart from this kapmurchi. It's like a custard and pistachio pancake wrap, which is a huge delicacy here. At first I was standing outside pretty gormless, and a group of Turkish aid workers who are here to help with the earthquake relief invited me to their table for katmer and chai. They were incredibly friendly and it was a very wholesome start to my day. Afterwards I walk over to the castle, which is badly damaged from the earthquake and still closed to the public. I was told that most of the city centre was undamaged. It was mainly the outlying areas which were really badly affected. But that being said, I still frequently saw rubble. Antep is famous for its cuisine, so I go to the culinary museum so I can soak it up a little bit more. I really enjoyed the shots they were firing at the Northern Europeans, spiceless food has no taste. I sat my white ass down and I read and looked at all of the traditional and modern methods and equipment they used in the cooking here. This is what sober George does. My appetite was up, so I finished off the leftover katmer. I've been told that the Museum of Toys and Games in the city is really interesting. Getting flashbacks to Poland where I did exactly the same thing. I was half expecting the worker in Antep to be like, Mr. Allen, welcome back. Didn't think it'd be possible, but this one actually feels a little bit more evil. Like I'm pretty sure original Mickey Mouse is in the room with me now. I might even have to take off my Mickey Mouse therapist joke off my Hinge prompts. I think by far the spookiest story in the museum is the story of Emmett the Clown. At one of his shows, over 200 people died in a fire, and he was found later crying over a bucket and was then immortalized as Tears of a Clown. But what on earth compelled them to make a fucking toy of it? I'm pretty sure he winked at me when no one was looking. I get out of there and decide to continue my culinary adventure. There's a spot near the castle where you can smell the grilling of meat from at least half a mile away. I settle on down. I had to shout my order about 4 times before I got it. Got a nice little lamb sheesh. It was really, really good. And it'd be rude not to get a couple of baklava to finish. This one has like a rice pudding in the middle. It's really tasty. Walk back to my hotel room. I've decided to watch the final season of Succession on my phone because I can't wait any longer. See you tomorrow. Toto, I have a feeling we're not in North Macedonia anymore.
Kenarda durayım. Poşetin içine koydum.
Welcome to episode 68 of Traveling to Vietnam Without Flying. No messing about this morning in Antep, Turkey, straight over to the bus station with the Simit. So today I'm going to Urfa, or Sanliurfa. Turks of the last century have a penchant for adding prefixes to their city names. In this case, Sanliurfa literally just means glorious Urfa, which is a bit over the top. Like, imagine adding something to Britain. It'd be stupid. We pass over the historic River Euphrates, and White Boy stuns Steward with perfect Turkish. Also known as the City of Prophets, Urfa is a city of pilgrimage for Christians, Muslims and Jews because the Prophet Abraham was supposedly born in a cave here according to legend. And it is the most religious city in the country. As someone pointed out in my last video, my liver is welcome as it's a dry city, there's no alcohol. Check into my room, drop off my bags and I am starving at this point. Follow my nose to this little spot down the alleyway. Sat on a stool, this was a cumin seasoning and then there was two kinds of chili flakes. One was kind of richer than the other one. It was really, really good. And also the onions came just loose, you had to cut them up yourselves. It was really sweet. This meal with a bottle of water came out at 50 lira, which is about £2. I found that the food in Turkey is getting more flavourful as I'm heading east, and I also find that I'm attracting a lot more attention. I've had countless requests for photos today. I think people are feeling a little bit giddy because it's the second day of Bayram or Eid. I walk over to the Göbekli Gol, which is a pool from Old Testament legend where Nimrod threw Abraham into fire and it turned to water. The carp are viewed as sacred and you're not allowed to catch them. And also if a white carp is ever seen in the pool, then that means heaven's gates have opened. So today's a public holiday, so there's plenty of people out on the streets. And there's a huge mix of population here. There's plenty of Turks, Kurds and Syrians. And actually the further east I go from this point will be more Kurdish majority areas who unfortunately don't have their own state to call their home. A lot of people talking to me on the street, especially because I'm wearing my Boca shirt. These were some Kurdish kids who wanted some cigarettes. I said no, obviously. So behind this mosque is the cave where Abraham was born. But because it was like a religious holiday, I didn't feel comfortable going in there with my camera and stuff. I am just chaining chais or black teas in lieu of any pub, obviously. The streets here are mental and I've really enjoyed today. It's really been beautiful. And this is like a wheat and pistachio pudding with ice cream. Really nice. Terrible picture, but I met this guy on the bus from Sofia. And considering the fact that we're the only two tourists I've seen, it's mental that we bumped into each other. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Welcome to episode 69 of Traveling to Vietnam Without Flying. Up early this morning in Urfa, Turkey, I am going to Göbekli Tepe, which is a 12,000-year-old temple complex up on the hill near the city. And also one of those sites where really, really stupid people can't believe that humans built it that early. They really hype you up in the museum before going to the site. I find this era of humanity fascinating. This temple was built before pottery, before farming, before domestication of animals even. And this site wasn't actually a city or a town, it was purely ritual. These buildings, these oval-shaped buildings, 6 meter high, were only used for ritual reasons. Obviously unknown to us now, but you can see the animal iconography, so obviously this place had a spiritual importance that maybe holidays or certain days of the year people would congregate here from the entire area. Because of technological progress, I think people just assume we're smarter now, but realistically they had exactly the same brains and they were probably a lot more creative than us, stuck in this hellscape. I go for a chai with my friend from the Sofia bus, Josip, who is from Zagreb in Croatia. And on my way over to dinner, I looks like rabbit or turkeys on the menu. But I opted for the lamb kofta, which came with lots of mint, and this esme, it's like a spicy tomato salad. So good. I could eat it every single day. I ate so much food I had to sit in a park for like 10 minutes. Last episode I said that this is a dry city because it's so religious, but I matched with a Kurdish girl who gives me the intel. So obviously I headed straight over to Cafe Muaf for some wine. I started to worry when I got in because it wasn't on the menu, but when I asked for it especially, they even brought me a little bit of goat's cheese as well. Fucking delicious. My waiter is from Iraq, and the tunes range from smooth jazz to Robbie Williams. My Tinder link was initially quite coy, but she does invite me out. But I'm genuinely bricking it. She's quite hot and I'm really worried about none of my jokes landing because of the culture difference. And I had every reason to worry, but luckily I just revert back to asking lots of questions. She's an art teacher and she said that if Erdogan wins the next election she's going to move to America and find a rich husband, which I fully support. It's funny as well because she's out with 3 of her mates who do not speak English, so she had to translate I don't know why the fuck I'm in Urfa into their language. Pleasantly waved from the wine, I walked back, and thanks to everyone who's bought me beers, I spent it. See ya. Welcome to episode 70 of Traveling to Vietnam Without Flying. I decided to brave the 2-mile uphill walk to the bus station in 30 degrees heat just to try and sweat out the hangover. I'm not gonna lie, it worked. If I'd have waited another 10-15 minutes, it would have been game over. Really enjoyed my 2 days here, but definitely ready to move on. Little pizza bagel for breakfast. And it appears we've got live entertainment on our bus, which I'm obviously loving, but I do wonder if for some of the locals this is the equivalent of some dickhead with a guitar playing Wonderwall. Continuing my odyssey east to the city of Mardin. Mardin is deep within the Kurdish majority area of Turkey, and I can't wait to immerse myself in their culture even more than last night. I really don't have time to explain the political situation between the Turks and the Kurds, but the Kurdish people are the largest ethnic group without a state, although they do have autonomous areas in like Iraq and Syria, but yeah, no state for Kurdistan. And with Erdogan's push to the far right, it makes speaking about independence very difficult. I say difficult, but I mean being arrested as a terrorist. On the bus I meet a Kurdish man who has been learning English for 5 months, but I'm the first speaker he can ever practice with in person, which I'm more than happy to. So within 2 hours after checking in my bags at the hotel, I'm drinking chai at the top of Mardin with him and his cousin, followed by a spot of grub before I'm taken on a walk to see the 14th century mosque here, but especially the view from the top. Mardin is the last outcrop of the Zagros Mountains before the infinite plains of Mesopotamia unfold before you. This is such a historic and ancient place, this land of Mesopotamia, and I feel very fortunate to be here, even if I do look Australian, and especially with this company. The Syriac wine which has been made here has been made in this way for 6,000 years, although it still tastes a bit rough around the edges because it's very strong. We do have to revert to Google Translate sometimes. I say goodbye to Salman and Zaini, but first I've obviously got to get my cringy little picture. I walk back towards my hotel, but then on a whim I'm like, oh, I need a nightcap, so I go into Leyland Cafe because I've been told the Kurds hang out here and there's a lot of music. Some of the Kurdish songs that are playing include songs about the losing of close friends and family during the war with ISIS. I met a group of Kurds next to me and one of them spoke very good English. He was translating for me. We discussed Kurdish independence and then I walked back very pissed. I feel like I've packed a week's worth of socialising into about 3 hours. Walk back to my hotel. It's really authentic. It's really nice. I'll see you guys later. Hi guys, welcome to episode 71 of Travelling to Vietnam Without Flying. Currently in the Black Sea port town of Hopper, quite a long way from Mardin where you saw me last. You're probably wondering how on earth I got here. Well, let me tell you. We picked things up at breakfast in Mardin, which is just a handful of miles away from the Syrian border. The woman just kept bringing plates over. It was amazing. But that being said, continental breakfast is not real breakfast. I have time for a little walk around before heading to the bus station, so I'm firstly nipping over to Diyarbakir. It has a lot more links to other parts of the country. I vaguely need to head northeast, but when I arrive at Diyarbakir, all the buses are full, so I go for Lamakun to come up with a plan. Shocking that it's taken me this long to have it in Turkey. Make it back to the bus station and I think I have an idea. This is what I want to do. I want to get to Kars, but the only bus remotely in that direction is to Van, so I'm going to do that instead. Nice little night bus, then I'll figure out what to do. I am the master at kicking all of my problems approximately one stop down the road. A little 6 AM tea and a bun here in Van. I've decided to immediately book a bus to Kars. I actually get a lot of rest because I have an inflatable neck rest, which is utterly humiliating during the inflating stage. The windows on the bus have a weird tint, but you can definitely make out the military police here, the gendarme. I counted approximately 5 checkpoints where military men came on and took everyone's IDs. Turkey has massively increased its presence in the Kurdish areas over the last 10 years to control the population, which is very dystopian. As usual, get dumped by the side of the road on the outskirts of the city, and there's vans everywhere blaring out political messaging, which is very booky. Walk over to my hotel and wondering what the fuck I'm doing here. I have pizza for dinner, but frankly I just need to sleep and a shower. And then the next morning, I'm up bright and early. I'd read that the nearby border to Armenia had actually opened for the first time since 1993 to allow earthquake relief through, and that they'd be allowing third country citizens through as well, i.e. me. But obviously I finally read the article which says it's not until early summer this morning. And with no direct buses to Georgia from Kars since COVID, looks like I'm going all the way to Hopper. I've spent nearly 2 days just to go to a massive dead end. I run on hearsay and outdated information. I've seen a documentary about these Turkish villages high up in the Caucasus where they're only accessible by a rope bridge, and I think I see quite a few. Following the river valley to the Black Sea, it's really beautiful, and I've got a freshly downloaded Spotify release radar, so my soul is very content. Essentially, from Hopper, I can get to Batumi in Georgia very easily. Once I make it to the Black Sea, it's a very pleasant feeling, despite the fact that this is quite an ugly port town, with 2 highways running through it. Well, actually, I say ugly, but the scenery is fucking gorgeous. It's just, yeah, the actual town is very industrial, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's gonna shut up, because I'm just digging myself a hole. 7th floor hotel room, beautiful view out to the sea, once you look past the detritus. Hate to say it, but I've been converted to having chips in the doner wrap. It's really good. Maybe just because I'm fucking starving. Decided to take a day for rest and recuperation, do a bit of admin, edit this fucking monster of a video. Quick pint, but yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. Hi guys, welcome to episode, oh for fuck's